Today, we're climbing every level of BMW ownership, from the cheapest BMW you can realistically buy, all the way to the most expensive BMW ever sold. At first, the formula is simple. Spend more money, and you get a faster car. More luxury, more technology. But then something strange happens. The price should keep going up, and BMW simply stops. No million-dollar flagship, no multi-million-dollar hypercar, nothing. To reach the most expensive BMW ever made, we have to leave the modern lineup behind and travel back through decades of history. Because somewhere along the way, BMW stopped selling better cars and started selling something far more valuable. This is the complete BMW price ladder. At around $5,000, this is where the BMW journey begins. The car is the BMW E46 3 Series. At this price, you're not buying perfect condition, you're not buying low mileage, and you're definitely not buying a warranty. What you're really buying is access. Because even a tired E46 still has the one thing every BMW is supposed to deliver, the way it drives. This was the generation that defined the 3 Series for millions of people. Rear-wheel drive, balanced handling, and, in the higher trims, BMW's legendary naturally aspirated straight-six engine. Even after hundreds of thousands of kilometers, that character is still there. Turn into a corner, and you immediately understand why people fell in love with BMW. Of course, there's a price to pay. At this level, high mileage is almost guaranteed. Years of deferred maintenance catch up quickly. Cooling system problems, suspension wear, electrical gremlins. They're all part of the experience. This is the level where owning a BMW often means learning how to repair a BMW. Sometimes the maintenance costs more than the car itself, but despite all of that, it still feels like a real BMW. And that's what $5,000 actually buys you. Not the best BMW, just a ticket into the BMW world. From here, things only get more interesting. Move up to around $50,000, and everything changes. This is the BMW 330i. The modern entry point into BMW ownership. Brand new, straight from the dealership. For the first time on this ladder, you're no longer buying someone else's history. You're creating your own. And the difference isn't just that everything works. It's what your money now includes. There's a full warranty. A modern turbocharged engine that's both more powerful and more efficient than the naturally aspirated engines that came before it. A cabin filled with technology that barely existed 20 years ago. A fully digital cockpit. Adaptive cruise control, advanced driver assistance systems working quietly in the background. But here's the interesting part. You're still not paying for extreme performance. The 330i is quick, comfortable, confident. But it isn't trying to be an M car. What you're really paying for is peace of mind. Nothing is worn out. Nothing is waiting to break. Every component is beginning its life instead of reaching the end of it. This is the BMW that most people imagine when they say, I want a BMW. Not the fastest one, not the rarest one, just a new one. Where for the first time on this ladder, the badge finally comes without a catch. At around $75,000, the ladder changes again. This is the BMW M2. Up to this point, you've been buying BMWs. Now, you're buying an M car. And those are not the same thing. The M2 is the smallest and most focused car built by BMW's M division. It isn't designed to impress your passengers. It's designed to impress the person behind the wheel. Under the hood is a twin-turbocharged straight-six engine. The same engine family found in BMW's larger M cars. Packed into the smallest body the M division offers, the result is a car that feels alive. Short, wide, rear-wheel drive, and always ready to move. This is where BMW stops making the drive easier and starts making it more exciting. The suspension is firmer, the steering is sharper, the responses are quicker. Everything is built to make you feel more connected to the road. You're no longer paying for comfort, you're paying for engineering. Bigger brakes, a stronger chassis, more advanced cooling. Decades of motorsport experience built into one compact machine. This is the first car on this ladder that truly begs to be driven hard. Not just to work, not just across town, but on the road it was built for. At around $125,000, you reach the BMW M5. For decades, this has been one of the most respected performance cars ever built. Not because it looks dramatic, but because it doesn't. The M5 was built around a simple idea. Take a practical four-door sedan and give it the performance of a supercar. When the first M5 arrived in the 1980s, that idea barely existed. It created an entirely new category, a family sedan that could embarrass some of the fastest sports cars in the world. Every high-performance luxury sedan that followed owes something to the M5. Today, that idea has evolved further than ever. The latest M5 combines a twin-turbocharged V8 with an electric motor. Together, they produce more than 700 horsepower. 0 to 60 takes around 3 seconds. Performance that once belonged only to exotic supercars. But the numbers aren't what make the M5 special. It's the disguise. From the outside, it still looks like a luxury sedan. Comfortable, practical, almost ordinary, until you press the accelerator. At this point on the ladder, you're no longer paying for luxury alone. You're paying for the engineering that makes a large executive sedan behave like a true performance machine. This is where practicality and performance stop competing and start working together. And for around $125,000, this is the most complete expression of that idea BMW has ever built. At around $195,000, you arrive at the most expensive BMW you can buy brand new. The BMW XM Label Red. This is the top, not the top of a category, the top of everything BMW currently builds. There is no more expensive new BMW. The XM Label Red is a plug-in hybrid performance SUV, producing 748 horsepower, making it the most powerful road car BMW has ever built. It's enormous, aggressive, and one of the most controversial BMW designs in recent history. But today, we're not talking about its styling, we're talking about its price, because that's where things get interesting. Nearly $200,000 sounds expensive, until you compare it to the rest of the luxury world. It's less than a Bentley Bentayga, less than half the price of a Rolls-Royce Ghost, and dramatically less than Ferrari's Purosangue. The most expensive BMW you can buy isn't actually that expensive, and there's a reason for that. BMW builds millions of cars every year. Brands like Rolls-Royce build only a few thousand. They're playing completely different games. So this is the summit of modern BMW. 748 horsepower, nearly $200,000. The absolute peak of today's lineup. And that's where something strange happens. The ladder should keep climbing. $500,000, $1 million, maybe even more. That's what happens with Ferrari, with Bugatti, with Rolls-Royce, but not with BMW. BMW simply stops. There is no $1 million flagship, no ultra-exclusive halo car, no modern BMW, worth several $1 million. To find the next step on this ladder, we have to leave the modern lineup behind and go back almost 70 years to a car that nearly destroyed BMW. The BMW 507 is a hand-built aluminum roadster. Today, it's worth close to $2 million. Some examples have sold for even more. On paper, it makes no sense. It produces around 150 horsepower, less than the cheapest BMW at the very bottom of this ladder. It isn't especially fast by modern standards. It wouldn't even keep up with the used E46 we started with. So why is it worth millions? Because the 507 wasn't built to become a collector's item. It was built to save BMW. In the 1950s, BMW wanted to conquer the American luxury market. The 507 was their answer. A beautiful hand-built roadster designed to compete with the very best cars in the world. Only 252 were ever made. Almost every body panel was shaped by hand. But there was one problem. BMW planned to sell it for around $5,000. The real cost of building it was so high, the price had to more than double. Almost nobody bought one. Every single 507 lost BMW money. Production stopped after just 252 cars. And for a while, it looked like one of the biggest mistakes in the company's history. The financial losses pushed BMW dangerously close to bankruptcy. Close enough that the company almost disappeared entirely, until new investment arrived and gave BMW a second chance. But time has a strange way of rewriting failure, because today, that same car is worth nearly $2 million, not because it's the fastest, not because it's the most powerful, but because it's one of the rarest and most beautiful BMWs ever built. The cheapest BMW on this ladder was built to bring people into the brand. The most expensive BMW exists because, decades ago, BMW almost lost the brand entirely. Sometimes, history is worth more than horsepower.